Richard Lafromboise. You're going to tell me a story about the Rougarou?
The Rougarou. My goodness. What a story. My grandma would tell me this story, and it was a long time ago. Of course, as you can tell, I'm old. I've been your tribal chairman 5 times, been your office of special trustee, trust officer for this reservation. So I know a little bit. So I'll tell you a little bit about what my grandma told me about the Rougarou. It started with a family gathering because in them old days, all the kids would go to school and they'd come home. And it was Grandma that would set all the girls around and, of course, a couple of us boys. And she would tell stories. And at the same time, she'd be going through each of the girls' hair to see if there were any of those real bad things that come, they called bugs and nits. So anyway, while this really good story was going on, we wanted to ask Grandma, well, what do you know about the Rougarou? Well, she said, you know, that Rougarou came around here when we started having what was called those missionaries. They came here, and the missionaries were good people. But to disrupt the atmosphere and livelihood of people here, the bad guy came around. And the bad guy was what we call the Rougarou. And some of the people said, well, that was the evil spirits, because the evil spirits didn't like it when the good spirits were around. So to disrupt the good spirits' goodwill and good wishes in the community, this little bugger called the Rougarou, which was also named in some places the little trickster, Nanabusho. Nanabusho wasn't as evil as the Rougarou. So the Rougarou usually would take place during the months before what they used to celebrate, and they still celebrate today as Easter, and they'd call it Lent. And the people in the community during the month of Lent, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, they would try to sacrifice things. Like you weren't supposed to be drinking alcohol. You weren't supposed to be dancing during that month. You weren't supposed to be doing some of those things like eating meat and flesh on Fridays. So the Rougarou was sent to us, my grandma said, to get people conscious of what was going on and to stay healthy with their spirits. And she'd be pulling her comb through all the girls' hair. And as you can tell, this story can go on for a long, long time. So what we were able to observe by some of the factual data of the Rougarou is, my grandma would say that at this one particular dance, there was a young lady, beautiful, beautiful, just like you, Julia, beautiful, and was all gussied up and was going to the dance, and she was looking for a Prince Charming, and that's how Grandma would say, Prince Charming. And this girl was out there with her friends, and this real beautiful looking man that they hadn't seen before came into the dance hall. But he was wearing gloves. And she said that he asked her to dance. So they went for a dance. And they danced and they danced. And when the girl come back, the other girls were looking at her. And they checked her out. And when they checked her out, her shoulders, where they were bare, had little pointed scars in them. And everybody looked around and they wanted to find the man, that handsome man that had come in to dance with her. They couldn't find him anywhere. So they came to the conclusion that that handsome man had to have something to do with as a rougarou, because those were made by claws, those marks on that lady's shoulders. A couple other incidents that were involved with the rougarou were incidents that people that were drinking wine during Lent, they would wake up seeing a monster. They couldn't describe the monster, but the monster had a big head, big, big red eyes, and you could see from the nose that there was smoke coming out. And everyone that had seen that said, "Hey, I drank some of that wine too." So that was the story of the rougarou that I heard from my grandma. And there were other incidents, but that's probably about as long and intricate as your class would accept.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.